Hey guys, Matt here. Welcome to Learn to Discern. So on my main discernment channel here on YouTube, I have done a number of videos over the last couple of years dealing with teachings that have been put forth by particular teachers where they claim that everything that is true of God is true of us in the here and now. Some teachers who have taught this sort of concept would be Kenneth Copeland, Jesse Duplantis, and most recently, Stephen Furtick. So I have done multiple videos where I have called out that false teaching and clearly demonstrated from Scripture that everything that is true of God is not true of us in the here and now. When I have done so, I have received multiple comments from people down in the comment section pointing to 1 John chapter 4, verse 17, which says, "As he is, so are we in this world." And many people apparently take that to mean that we are just like God in every way in the here and now in this world. And I want to show you by looking at that verse in its context that that is not what is in view, and hopefully you will have a better understanding of this passage of Scripture because of it. But before we get to that teaching, if you guys want to help promote sound Christian teaching here on YouTube, please go ahead and take a second now to subscribe to my channel, and thank you in advance. All right, guys, so we're in 1 John chapter 4, and I have highlighted the verse in question, which is verse 17, but I'm going to scroll up a little bit because I want us to get a little bit of the bigger context. So you can see the header for this section is God is love. And so this section is all about the love that God has for us and how we should now respond in love because of how God has first loved us. So let's get a small sample of that starting in verse 7. "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. In this, the love of God was made manifest among us, that God sent his only Son into the world so that we might live through him." So you can see the elements that I was talking about. God has loved us, therefore we should now share that love and give it to other people. And in fact, in verse 8, it says, "If anyone does not love, they do not know God." So one of the ways that we can test the genuineness or the sincerity of somebody's faith is by looking at their actions. That's consistent with the rest of Scripture. So if somebody is not loving with their lifestyle, with their behavior, and their typical character of living, then we know that that person does not know God. And so the next little section is going to continue on with the same sorts of points, and it's going to draw particular attention to the person and work of Christ. That is the greatest demonstration of God's love. And that brings us down to verse 16, where we're going to look at that in verse 17, and we'll see this now in its context. "So we have come to know and to believe the love that God has for us. God is love, and whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him." So all believers know and believe the love that God has for them. They understand who God is. They understand what God has done for them. They understand that God is love. And then it says, "Whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him." Very similar to what we were talking about before. If you see that somebody is abiding in love, now again, this is not saying that if you have a bad moment that you're not a genuine Christian, but somebody who the normal manner of their life is one of love. They demonstrate a consistent pattern of love. It says that person abides in God because God is love. God indwells them. And so now one of the fruits of that would be the love that they are demonstrating to other people. So that's pretty clear in verse 16. So this gets us now to the verse in question, verse 17. "By this is love perfected with us, so that we may have confidence for the day of judgment, because as he is, so also are we in this world." So when it says, "because as he is, so also are we in this world," is it saying that everything that is true of God is true of us, that we are exactly like him in the here and now? Well, clearly that is not the case, and there are numerous ways that we can know this. One is it says in us, love is being perfected, okay? So love is not being perfected in God. It is already perfect in God, okay? So he is absolutely pure and perfect. His love is infinite. There is nothing lacking in God's love. So that is one way, but we can also think about many of the other characteristics or attributes of God. So we can talk about his omniscience. We can talk about his omnipotence, his omnipresence, his immutability, which is the fact that he does not change. We can talk about his aseity, which is the fact that all life consists within himself. He is self-sufficient. He depends on no one else for life. So these are characteristics that are true of God that are not true of us. We do not have all wisdom, power, knowledge. We depend on God for life. We change. We are not immutable. So we know that this verse is not saying that everything that is true of God is true of us right now. What it is saying, it is talking about love, right? Just as God demonstrated his love, we can have confidence on the day of judgment that our faith is true when we are also in this world demonstrating love. Just as he demonstrated his love, we are going to demonstrate it. Now, is it going to be perfect at the exact same level? Of course not. But that is the point that is being driven home here. So 1 John 4:17 is not teaching that everything that is true of God is true of you. Rather, it is giving us a call to live lives that are characterized by love. And it is saying when we do so, we can have confidence on the day of judgment because we are demonstrating some of the same qualities and characteristics that God first demonstrated to us. All right, guys, I hope this video today was helpful to you. If it was helpful and you want to get content like this out to more people, please take a second now to subscribe. Also, if you would like to partner together with me financially in ministry, you can do so by checking out my profiles on Ko-fi and Patreon. I'll put links to them both down below in the description. You can give a one-time gift or sign up for monthly recurring donations. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, God bless.